This evening, let's explore an excerpt from Khenchen Jigme Phuntsok's My Heart's Advice. And then, let's meditate. This is Lama Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, brought to you by the good-hearted folks who help support this channel on Patreon. This evening, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Good news. If at any time during this evening's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your life, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Perhaps a little dehydrated. Excuse me. We come to the take two. We come to the fourth verse of the teaching text. Please chant with me. Oh, excellent. I have a question. How the Buddhist view about strategy. Okay. Welcome aboard. Design Studio. Let's see here. Ryoji Design Studio. You are welcome. Now, I need you to be more specific. Which specific strategy are you speaking of? The more precise your question, the more helpful my answer will be. While you are answering or typing that question, some of us will chant. By relying on a genuine qualified... Take two. By relying on genuine qualified spiritual teachers, your virtuous qualities will develop and increase, and all your faults and failings will be cast away. So serve them in the three ways of supporting them, assisting them more, applying their instructions, and accomplish others' aims. So while I'm waiting for Ryoji to be a little more specific, I'm going to fill this in. So the first phrase we come to is a genuine qualified spiritual teacher. Now, how are we to figure out if someone is which teachers are genuine and which aren't? Or I should say, which are qualified and which aren't? And to answer that question, I'm going to refer to a text over here. There are two ways to view the world, through the lens of yang, or patriarchy, or through the lens of yin, or matriarchy. Through the lens of yang. Oh, wait a second. Well, let's answer this question first. So through the lens of yang, we tend to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, competitive, and cruel. Those who are described by these six attributes are prone to authoritarianism, which means if someone has authority, they believe them. They tend to feel that authority is the source of truth. And so they are very excited about resumes and credentials and letters of recommendation. The Buddhists are not to trust these conventions. Now, those who are prone to yin or matriarchy, who are more flexible, loving, laid-back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind, have been around the block enough times to know that just because someone has authority doesn't mean that they're wise or loving. It just means they have authority. Turn on the TV, watch politicians prance about, and you will come to a similar conclusion. Therefore, those who do not feel that authority is the source of truth, but the other way around, will simply put the teacher to the test. How do you do that? By putting the teachings to the test. Well, how do you do that? Receive a teaching and then apply it once every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days. Now, number 1, if you don't have your act together and you can't practice a simple technique, maybe for 5 minutes, once every 12 hours or 7 consecutive days, then the problem is not with the teacher. The problem is with you, and that's okay. We all start in different places. I remember when I did not have the self-discipline to do that type of stuff. But assuming you do have the self-discipline to apply even a 5-minute technique once every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days, at the end of that 7th day, perform a fearless self-inventory and observe that over the past 7 days, have you grown more peaceful or less peaceful, more resourceful or less resourceful, more loving or less loving? If you've grown less resourceful, less loving, and less peaceful, then either A, you didn't apply the teachings correctly, or B, the teachings aren't a good match for you. Or C, the teacher's not a good match for you. However, and this is important, if after just 7 days you notice an improvement in your peace and resourcefulness and love, then perhaps you found a teacher with whom you are a good fit. Now, I'm going to, quick like a bunny, tap button number 4 and do my best to answer the question. Hi, Master. How the Buddhist view about strategy for business, get power, and also entrepreneur include problem solving? Okay, so here is the panacea. In this tradition of Buddhism, we practice a style of mindfulness and meditation, which creates the fringe benefit of centered spontaneity. What do we mean by that? On one extreme, we tend to be contrived and controlling and perfectionistic. We've got lists and agendas and backup lists. On the other extreme, we can be scattered. We can be as scattered as a doggy with the zoomies running around the apartment, knocking over stuff. It's adorable, but destructive. In the middle point between the two extremes, we have not scattered spontaneity. We have not contrivance, but spontaneity. Not scattered spontaneity, but centered spontaneity. When you surf the wave of centered spontaneity, things work better. When our choices and our utterances and our deeds flow from a place of centered spontaneity, things work better. You could think of it as a life lubricant. Sometimes when you have a key and a door, if the key doesn't work, it's because there's particles in the door lock. But if you take some spray can, you spray some oil into it, you're able to, the key and the doorknob work so much better. Similarly, when we go through life neurotic or scattered, we're missing our inner genius. We are deaf to our inner genius. However, develop a healthy meditation practice, perhaps once every 12 hours. And in a very short time, you will feel yourself, if you will feel your choices and your utterances and deeds flowing from this place of centered spontaneity. But wait, there's more. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. The highest love is not contrived. It is spontaneous and uncontrived. And as we will chant several minutes from now, a fringe benefit of making a lifestyle choice of this style of meditation, whose specific instructions we're going to get to in just a few minutes, will not only create spontaneous kindness, but spontaneous skill of choice, communication, and behavior. I hope you find that helpful. Oh, Sun Tzu, yes. So, yes, Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War. But Sun Tzu was remarkably clever. And if you want to read The Art of War, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to maybe read it before bed, that's fine. But if we apply it in a precise way, we're in contrivance. If we flow from centered spontaneity, we will do much better. And remember, the key to generating this centered spontaneity is to have a healthy meditation life. Having answered that question, let's return to tonight's teaching text. Let's see. Button 14. By relying on the genuine qualified spiritual teachers, your virtuous qualities will develop and increase, and your thoughts and feelings will be a constant way. So what does it mean to rely on a genuine teacher? It means you enthusiastically follow their instructions. What is the conclusion of the matter, according to the author Khenchen Jigme Phuntsok? So serve them in the three ways of supporting them, assisting them, or applying their instructions and accomplish others' aims. So, we read here that the key to fulfillment as human beings is by benefiting as much as you can, directly or indirectly, all beings everywhere. A great way to do that is to apply your teacher's instructions and to support your teacher wherever you can, either with your extra change, extra money, or with your talents. Having gone there, let me check real quickly because I think I got another message. Owner of Ryoji Design, you are utterly welcome. So now, what I'd like to do is turn our attention to tonight's practice text. It is also written by the same author, Khenchen Jigme Phuntsok. It's titled Swift Bestowal of Blessings, a sadhana, or practice text, of the archetype Peaceful Manjushri. Now, this is not a literal translation. It has been adapted and amplified by yours truly. I did not do that out of pride, but simply to make things more understandable. Because it's after a lifetime being raised in a specific culture and a certain level of expertise, sometimes it's difficult to transmit the teachings to a different culture and to people with less expertise. So that's my effort, is to make this more comprehensible to us folks who aren't high-level Tibetan Lamas. Now, let's see here. Control G, let's hit this button here. and make sure the display is still synchronized. Let's chant. The ground is primordially pure space, the youthful false body, its radiant energy unceasing. My own awareness, bodhicitta, is of the nature of the archetype Manjushri on an ultimate level. In recognition of this, my own true essence, I take refuge. So let's apply the Buddha's teachings. In the illusory city of interdependent deluded perception, beings roam endlessly by clinging to things as real. To bring them all to the primordial freedom of the mastery of awareness and letting go, I generate bodhicitta in the great settling beyond extremes. By practicing awareness and relaxation, as well as mental release, altruism will flow spontaneous and uncontrived. Samsara is entirely positive and nirvana is wholly good too. In the all-good expanse there is no birth, no death, no pleasure, and no pain. Through the power of the truth of the unchanging capacity to notice and release, may the inspiration to realize true reality descend upon us. So let's go for it. So before we meditate, we're going to review what is meant by emptiness. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could feel as not graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a beautiful cloudless morn, which though compelling to the eye is not graspable to the hand. We come to this evening's first of two silent meditations. Awareness and letting go's mindfulness meditation is known by many names, such as Zen, Chan, Dhyana, Great Completion Stage Tantra, Mahasanti Ati Yoga, Sutra Mahamudra, Dzogchen, and Trekcho's Slice Through. Now, despite the grandiosity of these names, the technique is ridiculously easy. Physically, emulate the posture we see in the statue whose photograph is mounted in the center of the page. In terms of respiration, may our inhalations be sharper and shorter. May our exhalations be longer and softer. And thirdly, in terms of mind, as we breathe in, every time we breathe in, we are wired to access our sympathetic nervous system easily, effortlessly, automatically. This sympathetic nervous system has evolved not to concentrate, but to notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Every time therefore, as we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the word watch. We recite the one-syllable sensory verb watch. During our exhalation, we silently and mentally recite the hyphenated verb relaxing. Why do we do that? Because every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to both physically relax and mentally release. If you've just joined us, welcome aboard. If at any point during this live stream, any point at all, you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your life, simply type that question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, let's meditate. Now, allow me to caution you. Apply these instructions viscerally. It's not our job to micromanage and label everything we perceive. If all we do is silently and mentally recite the words watch and the word relaxing, and if all we were to do was to recite those two words silently and mentally in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation, if that is all we did, that would actually be quite productive. Welcome to the easy path of liberation and enlightenment. A nickname for this style of meditation is the slice through. in preparation for contemplation of love and contemplation of letting go, let's chant. In an experience of reality, primordial purity, and profound luminosity, the spontaneously present play of awareness dawns as great compassion. Inseparable unity extending everywhere is the Vajra of space. So, let's see if I can't hash this out. When most people tell us to be realistic, they want us to be just as cynical, fearful, greedy as them. According to the Buddha, the most efficient way to really tune into reality is to blend awareness and release with our inhalations and our exhalations, respectively. The spontaneously present play of awareness dawns as great compassion. So what do we mean by spontaneously present? Spontaneously present is a poetic way to describe mastery. When we were learning how to ride our bikes, it took the utmost of concentration. After we became comfortable riding our bikes, we didn't have to think about it. We could ride our bikes while eating an apple or thinking about our friends at school or whatever. Similarly, as we master the path of awareness and letting go, we give birth to the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived. Okay, let's chant. Inseparable unity extending everywhere is the Vajra of space. Which fully emerges in the parent form as a symbolic union. Manjugosha, the embodiment of the wisdom of all the Buddhas. So what is this? Let's unpack this. We just sat in meditation for the better part of a half hour. And as we breathed in, we noticed all kinds of different things. But as we relaxed into our exhalation, everything kind of had the same taste, that of non-graspability. That's the key to, that's the unity or oneness that we experience meditating. concentration is yucky and it makes us really, really compressed and cranky. But mindfulness is the opposite. It makes us feel expansive and free. So that is the preciousness of space. There's a feeling of freedom and limitlessness. Not unlike the movie of the same title. All complex vertebrate life forms on this planet evolved to think symbolically. In the distant mists of the past, our early ancestors perceived, and in time they recalled perceptions or anticipated perceptions. And so perception, real, imagined, or anticipated, or recalled, became the foundation of thought and all the complexities of our contemporary brains. Sometimes the most efficient way to viscerally understand something is through simile or metaphor. That is why one of the easiest ways for us to effectively contemplate love and letting go is through the use of an archetype. The archetype is known by several names: Manju Gosha or Manju Shri. And it is thought of as being the embodiment of the wisdom of all the Buddhas. The most important thing about this archetype is not that we believe or disbelieve, but that we're able to use the various elements of the iconography of this archetype to empower our imagination in its attempts to contemplate love and then letting go. He is peaceful, smiling, graceful, signs and marks, and youthful. So the reason we say that is because in days of yore, people didn't live very long. And when they aged rapidly. And so playing with the idea of an archetype being and enjoying the most robustness of health will help us later on when we contemplate the loving wish that all entities everywhere enjoy robust health. He has the glow of twilight clouds and is adorned with silks and... He has the glow of twilight clouds and is adorned with jewels and silks. So the 6 jeweled ornaments of anklets, necklace, bracelets, armlets, earrings, and crown are a mnemonic device to help us remember the 6 perfections of generosity, nonviolence, patience, enthusiasm, mindfulness, and meditation. The 5 silken garments of skirt, belt, shawl, scarf, and crown tie help us to remember that as we mature on the spiritual path, we will be able to use awareness and letting go to effortlessly transform hate into mirror-like wisdom, greed into discerning wisdom, confusion into the wisdom of the basic space of all phenomena, competitiveness into all-accomplishing wisdom, and clinging into equalizing wisdom. Now that's a lot of words and it could feel really, really overwhelming. So just think of it this way. The accoutrement, that the iconography of the archetype reminds us of the potential of spiritual mastery. So I'm not sure if you can see here, but this is a hand holding a sword that's flaming. And we saw something like that in, I think, the final season of Game of Thrones. In his right hand he holds aloft and brandishes the sword of wisdom. In his left he holds a volume of text that rests upon an upala flower. So we have the text of wisdom and the sword of wisdom. And this could remind us of both the acquisition of wisdom and the application of wisdom. Let's chant. He is seated on a water lotus resting upon a full moon disk, with his 2 legs crossed in a posture of majestic ease. So, the waterborne lotus. You've heard this before, probably 1,000 times, that the lotus seed begins in the mud, its stem pierces the murky water, and its leaves and then blossom pierce the surface of the water. The late Thich Nhat Hanh put it eloquently when he coined the phrase, "No mud, no lotus." We got to go through the gurk. We do not repress the gurk. We do not lie to ourselves about the gurk or the mud or the garbage in our lives. We are vulnerable to it as we breathe in. We relax and we release as we breathe out. And that's how we work through it. And that's what's symbolized by the lotus. Resting upon a full moon disc refers to a cushion, and that's a symbol of love. So we got the wisdom of letting go, and we got love, and we got his 2 legs crossed in the posture of majestic ease. So for that to make sense, I'm going to subject you to Jumbo Cam. So right now my legs are stacked, and there's one leg and the other leg, and they're kind of vertically stacked. And so the posture of royal ease is where one leg is in and the other is out. And sometimes the one is out is up, sometimes it's just out. But either way, let me see if I can get my... but either way, it's out there. And you might wonder, what's the deal with that? And the answer is it symbolizes that one is not content to remain aloof and indifferent to the sufferings of others, but rather that in the momentum of the compassion that is spontaneous and uncontrived, one acts in a way that is in harmony with centered spontaneity. So one is not an ornamental statue. One uses one's talents and the fruit of one's meditation to be of service to others. Within each and every pore of his body, self-arisen tantric mandalas appear in countless number. So, a traditionalist might visualize Manjushri and then visualize that in every pore of his skin is a paradise. And in every paradise there is a Buddha surrounded by bodhisattvas, or a teacher surrounded by students. What is the meaning of that? Through the power of awareness, of release, and the centered spontaneity it generates, whatever we experience is rendered pure and profitable, spiritually profitable. Let's chant. Above, below, and all around amidst an expansive rainbow light, the root and lineage gurus, dakinis, and earthbound guardians. Whoopsie, I think I forgot to adjust something. Please bear with me. Yes, that was it. And let me go to the end of the sentence. Above, below, and all around amidst an expansive rainbow light, the rooted lineage gurus, dakinis, and earthbound guardians arise as a spontaneous adornment like specks of dust in a sunbeam. Because the practice of awareness, letting go, and love spontaneous and uncontrived, are predicated not on willpower, not on philosophy, but the actual mechanisms of our central nervous system. Our sympathetic nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system, and our anterior cingulate gyrus, the hub of our network of mirror neurons. Because of this, our application of the Buddha's path is always at hand. Whatever happens to us, wherever we go, whether we are in pleasure or in pain, whether we are in health, whether we're in pleasure, whether we're in pain, whether we are in lack, whether we're in scarcity, whether we are loved, whether we are hated, whether we have prestige, whether we have disgrace, whatever's going on, as long as we have our central nervous system, we have this capacity to practice. That concludes the explanation part, or the exposition part. Now let's continue with more rapid-fire chanting. By the way, if you just joined in, welcome aboard. I hope you like this enough to add it to your, to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Listen, the moment you get a question, a specific question about, or say you have a question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your lives, simply type that question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. And now we're going to chant a bit faster. Through the force of Hatha Yoga, empty of existence and non-existence, the Samaya connection of student to teacher is always fully present like space. So we see here the archetype of enlightened wisdom, and above his head another Buddha that symbolizes discipleship. O Sugata, perfect bliss, turn your attention toward me. Youthful Manjushri, you embody fortune and splendor. From the natural and unelaborated palace of the mastery of awareness and release, embodiment of compassion, spontaneous and uncontrived, transcended conqueror in order to dispel the darkness of unknowing and conceptuality. I invite you in your self-arisen wisdom from whom now I pray. In order to rid my mind of attachment to good and bad, with regard to the visualized Samaya beings and actually abiding jhana wisdom beings, remain here, you who embody wisdom, love, and power. Transcendent conqueror, steadfast and indivisibly united, I pray. I need to adjust the sequence of these words. I feel like that the translator made a boo-boo. Please bear with me. So first thing I'm going to do is go into editing mode, because everybody loves that. Okay, this should make much more sense. Here we go. Remain here, transcendent conqueror, you who embody wisdom, love, and power, steadfast and invisibly united, I pray. The screen's going to go berserk. I will adjust it momentarily. The wisdom, oops, let's see if this has been fixed yet. Okay. The wisdom deity oriented symmetries may arise from the expansive inner luminosity and appear as an arrangement of hands, face, and adornments. But it is a manifestation of mind's order, purity of love and letting go. In recognition of my very essence of awareness, release, and love, I offer symbolic homage. All phenomena represented by the objects of sensory cognition are purely non-graspable from the beginning and perfect in this gesture of offering. Without attachment and through the magic of king-like mindfulness, I make these perpetual offerings that entirely fill this vast expanse of awareness and release. Through the secret path of instructions that do not arise from Scripture, you seize the stronghold of a fruition that does not derive from causes, the supreme primordial Buddhahood that does not originate in mind. Sovereign of all Buddha families, to you I offer homage and praise. With sight, sounds, and mind experienced as non-graspable as deity mantra, as well as awareness and release. Deity mantra and dharmata as a great perfection of awareness emptiness. And awareness emptiness is my own cognizance, all penetrating and beyond limits. In a state that is centered and free of grasping, I recite the secret mantra Marapatanandi. We now come to contemplations of love and letting go, which could serve as antidotes to hating. These are known by many names, such as Generation Stage Tantra, Mantra Yoga, Mahayoga, Tantra Mahamudra, and Tokal or Leap Over. Let's begin by leaping over our competitive tendencies. And to be more specific, let's leap over our mental competition. Now, what is the secret to transforming mindless mantra recitation into transformative mantra meditation? Number one, as we chant the mantra, physically relax as best you can. Number two, during the inhalation, because you got to breathe in sometimes, silently and mentally recite either a wisdom-generating rhetorical question or a love-generating intention. Now, this intention, the 6-syllable intention, is cryptic. Fortunately, it is fleshed out in the previous page. Together. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as the mind of a Buddha of law, symbolized by a winsorable tikle or bija mantra. So, tikle is Tibetan for seed or drop, and bija is Sanskrit for seed. Umara Bazanani, Umara Bazanani, Umara Bazanani, Umara Bazanani. 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 It's been my experience that each mantra has a different flavor, energetically speaking, and that these mantras kind of like are carrier waves that help to transport or empower or turbocharge our intentions. Let us leap over interpersonal competition, replacing it with love. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyful and loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by the seven syllable mantra. Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani. 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 Come, let us leap over physical competition. May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful, healthy, depicted in Buddhist thought of the blissful body of a yidam of lower and archetype of enlightenment. What is a yidam? An archetype of enlightenment. Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani. 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 Let us leap over circumstantial competition. You know, my house is better than your house, my garden is prettier than your garden, blah, blah, blah. May all circumstances, all lots of all beings now have the safety, good fortune, all boon, as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Vati. What is Vati? It is the Sanskrit word for pure land, which is could be interpreted in English as paradise. Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani, Umara Badzanani. 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 In preparation for our leap over our clinging tendencies, let's review the meaning of emptiness. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a beautiful cloudless morn, which, although compelling to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. Let us practice the first vision's leap over circumstantial clinging. How is it that as we inhale all circumstances could appear quite vivid, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined paradise or body of light? Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Let us practice the second vision's leap over physical clinging. How is it that as we inhale all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined archetypal of light? Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Let us practice the third vision's leap over interpersonal clinging. How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could be quite resounding, yet as we relax into our exhalation it could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined mantra of light? Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Umarabazanani, 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 umarabazanani. Let us practice the fourth vision's leap over mental clinging. How is it? So, by the way, if you've just joined me, welcome aboard. If at any point you have a specific question, any point at all, about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your life, there's no need to be bashful. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. These are rhetorical questions. How is it that as we inhale we could perceive all mind's functions quite clearly, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined body of light? Umara Bazanadi, Umara Bazanadi, Umara Bazanadi, Umara Bazanadi. 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 Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. That cushion was putting my legs to sleep. And now we come to this evening's second and final silent meditation. This bliss in letting go could serve as an antidote to craving. It is known by many names, such as completion stage tantra, anu yoga, bindu mahamudra, and tikle drop. Yes, I wanted to move this real quick. Hopefully. Well, let's see. Cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Kawabunga. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, cool. So consider, if you will, this drawing, this painting of four-armed Manjushri sitting in tantric union, or perhaps sporting in tantric union. Let's break it on down. Their nudity is reminiscent of the vulnerability necessary for mindfulness. Their depiction, or their inferred translucence, reminds us that as we physically relax during our exhalation, we mentally release all that we notice during our inhalation. Their beauty reminds us that the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived, is the byproduct of meditation and mindfulness. The stability with which he sits reminds us of centeredness. The abandon with which she sports reminds us of spontaneity. As we breathe in, we silently and mentally recite the sensory verb feel. As we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the hyphenated verb relaxing. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are wired to access our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved not to concentrate but to perceive, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Every time we exhale, we are wired to automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to both physically relax as well as mentally release. Now this, my friends, is the lazy bastard path of enlightenment. What do I mean by that? Simply by silently and mentally reciting these words, in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation and relaxation, we make progress on the path. And yes, this is an odd ratio. The inhalation is shorter and sharper, the exhalation is longer and softer. And now for our closing chant. In the expansive Buddha skull cup of the unborn expansive awareness and release, all that manifests from the ground of samsaric and nirvanic phenomena all arranged as a feast. It is blessed with the view of my own untainted awareness, and becomes an object of delight to the deities who receive it. Actual gifts of food and drink and other substances are increased through the sky treasury absorption, thus filling the entire expanse of boundless space. To the infinite three-root deities of Lama, view, Yida, meditation, and Kondro action, I present this offering. Failing to hold to the natural state of all-penetrating awareness, and overpowered by attachment to notions of I and me, I have transgressed the Vajra command that is not to be taken lightly. Whatever faults I have committed, either by acknowledge and confess, I shall not reject thoughts that involve clinging to dualistic ideas, nor subject them to the path of transformation. Rather, I shall this is a tongue twist. Rather, I shall seal them with a sharp place of naturality flowing awareness. Within the vast primordial purity of relaxation and release in which phenomena are exhausted. All the limitless Dharma systems of grand path and fruition, all like a wisdom symphony of deity, mantra, and dharmata, uncreated and always present, may these clouds of perfection fulfill our solemn pledges to the victorious ones throughout space. To the mandala of deities within my own body that is utterly pure, I present this offering of immaculate nectar. Through this may I perfect the four visions, and ripen as the light body of great transference. May all beings attain awakening altogether in a single mandala. May the guests of the remainder thoughts that arise, when the stronghold is not secured within the precious expansive sphere of spontaneous presence, accept this remainder torment-like enthusiasm and compassion, and extend the festival of benefit and happiness for the teachings and beings. As represented by this, may all virtues accumulated in the past, present, and future ripen fully in the mushrooms of all beings throughout the whole of space, so that they may all awaken in the youthful false body, complete with its six special features of inner luminosity. The pure Dharmakaya view of awareness and letting go settled in a state beyond the ordinary mind. This perfect Sambhogakaya meditation of bliss and letting go with a full measure of direct experience. And the Metronumanakaya conduct of love and letting go spontaneous and uncontrived, in which space and awareness are indivisible. May all be auspicious for the effortless accomplishment of these three Kaya bodies. My friends, if you feel that I have earned it, you could type something in the chat window, you could give this live stream a thumbs up, you could share it with a friend, you could even help support this channel on Patreon. Whether you do or whether you don't. In approximately 10 1/3 hours, I intend to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me,